Welcome, everyone. Today, we have something truly special for you. A story that is not just about learning English. It's about changing your life through English. This is the real journey of a boy named Liam. A boy who couldn't even say, "How are you?" properly once, but who trained his own brain step by step until English became his power, his freedom, and his career. So sit back, listen carefully, and feel every word. Because this story will not just teach you English, it will show you what English can do for your entire life. Part 1. The boy who couldn't even say, "How are you?" When I was a kid, I hated English. Not because I didn't like the language, but because it made me feel small. Every time someone spoke English around me, it felt like a wall I could never climb. A few words, a few sentences. That's all it took to make me feel like I didn't belong. I grew up in a small town. My school was simple. My teachers were kind. But English was just a subject we had to memorize. We learned grammar rules, filled blanks, and repeated sentences without understanding anything. I still remember my first English oral test. The teacher said, "Introduce yourself." And I froze. My hands were shaking. My heart was beating so fast that I forgot my own name for a moment. All I said was, My name is," and everyone laughed. That moment stayed with me for years. Not because it was funny, but because I realized something painful. I wasn't afraid of English. I was afraid of being judged for my mistakes. At home, we didn't speak English. My parents worked hard. They didn't have time to teach me. We spoke our native language every day. English was only for textbooks, not for life. But deep down, I wanted to speak it. Not to impress people, but to express myself. I used to watch people on TV, news anchors, movie actors, YouTubers, all speaking English so naturally. I wondered, how do they do it? How do they speak without translating? It looked so easy for them. But for me, it felt like climbing a mountain barefoot. One day something happened that changed everything. It was during a school debate. I didn't want to participate, but my teacher forced me. She said, "Liam, you have to try. You'll never learn if you never speak." So I went on the stage with a small piece of paper in my hand. 5 sentences written in English. When I looked at the audience, my mind went blank. I forgot everything. I could hear my classmates whispering and laughing. Some of them said, "He doesn't even know English." That moment broke me. After that day, I promised myself, I will never go on that stage again. I will never speak English again. And for months, I didn't. I avoided every situation that needed English. If someone spoke to me in English, I smiled and walked away. If a teacher asked me to read aloud, I said I was sick. Inside, I felt like a failure. But one evening, something unexpected happened. I was watching a short English video on my old phone. The speaker said, "You don't need to be perfect. You just need to start talking." Those words hit me like thunder. I realized something important. I was waiting for the perfect time, the perfect sentence, the perfect grammar. But perfection never comes first. Practice does. That night, I looked in the mirror in my small room. It was old and cracked, but I could see my reflection clearly. I looked into my own eyes and said slowly, "Hello. My name is Liam." I laughed. It sounded funny, but then I said it again. "Hello. My name is Liam." Then I said it again, 10 times, 20 times. The next day, I did it again, and again. That mirror became my classroom. No one laughed at me, no one corrected me, no one judged me. I started creating small challenges for myself. One sentence every morning, one word every night before sleep, one topic every week. I began to copy lines from English movies and repeat them again and again. When I didn't understand something, I didn't stop. I just guessed the meaning and kept talking. And slowly, I started to enjoy it. After a few weeks, something strange happened. When I was walking to school, I saw a dog crossing the road. And in my head, without planning, I said, "The dog is crossing the road." For the first time in my life, I thought in English without trying. It was a small sentence, but it felt like victory. That one thought showed me what was possible. From that day, I began describing everything in my mind. The sun is bright. The air feels warm. I am walking fast. My friend is laughing. I didn't realize it back then, but I was already training my brain, not my tongue. That's how my journey truly began. Months later, our English teacher asked us to read a paragraph aloud. Normally, I would have avoided it. But that day, I stood up. My voice was shaking, but I spoke. I made mistakes. I pronounced some words wrong. But I finished the paragraph. All of it. The class was quiet. Then the teacher smiled and said, "Good job, Liam. You've improved." No one laughed this time, because I didn't give them a reason to. That was the day I decided, I will never stop again. I may not speak perfectly, but I will speak confidently. And I will train my mind every single day until English feels natural to me. When I look back, I don't see a lucky person. I see a boy who refused to give up. The mirror didn't teach me English. It taught me discipline. Part 2. The mirror became my classroom. After that small success in the classroom, when I finally read the paragraph out loud, something changed inside me. For the first time in my life, I felt a little bit free. Not fluent, not perfect, but free. Because I realized I don't need anyone's permission to speak English. I don't need a teacher, a class, or a big city. I only need me, my mind, my mouth, and my mirror. That same night, I stood in front of the cracked mirror in my room. It wasn't big. It wasn't beautiful. But in that mirror, I saw someone I had ignored for years. I saw a boy who was trying. A boy who had hope. When I spoke in front of people, I was scared. I was worried about my pronunciation, my grammar, my mistakes. But when I stood in front of that mirror, I could be honest. If I made a mistake, the mirror didn't laugh. If I forgot a word, the mirror didn't judge me. If I stammered, the mirror waited. It became the only place where I could practice without fear. And that is step 1 for every English learner. Create a place where you can speak without fear, even if it's just a mirror. I knew I wasn't good at English, but I also knew something more powerful. If I practiced every single day, even a little, I would get better. So I created a routine, not a complicated one, just one that I could follow every single day, no matter what. Here's exactly what I did, and it changed everything. Morning. As soon as I woke up, I would look in the mirror and say, "Good morning, Liam. Today, you will speak English. Don't be afraid, every day the same sentence." Until it became natural. Until I believed it. This was my mental push. This was how I trained my brain to expect English every day. After breakfast, after I ate, I would stand near the window and describe something in English. Anything, a tree, a cloud, a chair, my shoes. I would say, "The sky is blue today. There is a bird on that tree. My hands feel cold. I can hear children playing outside. I didn't worry about being perfect. I just focused on speaking, thinking in English, saying it, feeling it. Midday. This was my most powerful exercise. I would go back to the mirror, look into my eyes, and talk to myself. At first, it was hard. I didn't know what to say, so I started with basic topics. My name is Liam. I am 16 years old. I live in a small town. Today is Monday. I woke up at 6 a.m. I had tea and toast. I like learning English. It is difficult, but I want to improve. Then I tried to act like I was speaking to someone else. This is when things became powerful. I imagined I was being interviewed. I said things like, "Hello, thank you for having me. Today I want to talk about my English journey." I know it sounds silly, but when you're learning alone, your imagination becomes your teacher. Evening. At night, I would open YouTube on my old phone and search. Slow English conversation with subtitles. I would listen to one line at a time. Pause. Repeat it exactly how they said it. Then again. And again. And again. How are you today? I'm doing great, thank you. Would you like some coffee? Sure, that would be nice. I would copy their intonation, their rhythm, their emotion. That's how I trained my mouth to move like an English speaker. Night. Before closing my eyes, I would whisper one sentence to myself. Tomorrow I will speak better English. It was small, but it gave me power. It told my brain, we are serious. We are not giving up. I followed this routine for 30 days without missing a single day. And do you know what happened? After 10 days, I stopped translating in my head. After 20 days, I was able to speak short sentences automatically. After 30 days, my mouth became faster than my fear. I'm not saying I became fluent in 30 days, but I became consistent, and consistency beats talent, always. After one full month of mirror talk, repetition, and silent thinking, my teacher gave me a chance again to speak in front of the class. I took a deep breath. I spoke slowly. I didn't try to be perfect. I just remembered the face in the mirror. Good morning, everyone. My name is Liam. I want to talk about why English is not just a language. It is an opportunity. When I finished, the classroom was quiet again. But this time, there was no laughter. Some clapped, some nodded. Even my teacher looked surprised. She said, "Liam, you've grown. Keep going." That sentence meant more than any award. It meant I was finally being understood. You see, something deeper was happening. When I practiced in front of the mirror, I was doing 3 things at the same time. 1. Training my mind to think in English. 2. Training my mouth to speak clearly. 3. Training my heart to believe in myself. And that combination is what changed everything. Part 3. The day I decided to train my brain. After 1 month of mirror speaking, describing things, and daily practice, I could feel something changing. My tongue wasn't so scared anymore. My lips didn't freeze when I said English sentences. And my brain was starting to understand English faster than before. But something still felt slow. Yes, I could speak basic sentences. Yes, I had confidence when I was alone. But when I had to speak to others, real people, my brain still took a pause. It still translated from my native language into English. Every single time. One day, I was walking to the local market. A little girl dropped her bag of rice. She was struggling to pick it up, and I bent down to help her. As I gave her the bag, I wanted to say something kind. Just 2 words. It's okay. But you know what happened? My brain searched for the translation first. It said the sentence in my native language, and then tried to change it into English. By the time I found the words, the moment had passed. That's when I realized something big. The real problem is not your mouth. The real problem is your brain. You are not slow at English. Your brain is stuck in translation mode. That evening, I made a new promise to myself. From today, I will stop learning English. I will start training my brain to think in English, even when I'm alone, even when I'm not speaking. Because if I can think in English, I can speak in English. Step 1. Break the translation habit. Translation is the enemy of fluency. Here's what I mean. Most English learners do this. 1. Think the sentence in their native language. 2. Try to translate it into English. 3. Then speak it. That's 3 steps for one sentence. No wonder we feel slow. So I started doing something radical. I forced my brain to stay in English. How? I picked the easiest thoughts from my daily life and told myself to only think them in English, even if it was broken, even if it was ugly. Here are some examples of my first thoughts in English. I am walking. I feel hungry. My foot hurts. That dog is running. The road is empty. They were simple, but they were pure English. No translation, no going back, no middle language. That was the rule. No more thinking and then translating. Only thinking in English directly. Step 2. Make English your inner voice. Every human has an inner voice. It's the voice you hear when you're silent, when you're daydreaming, when you're brushing your teeth, when you're walking alone. That voice is usually in your native language, right? Well, I decided to change that voice into English. I wanted my inside voice to become my English trainer. Here's how I did it. Every time I caught myself thinking in my language, I would stop, and I would restart the thought in English. Even if I had to say it slowly twice, 3 times, I made sure my mind got used to English. And after a few weeks, something magical started happening. I didn't realize it immediately. But after 3 weeks of this brain training, I was automatically thinking in English without even trying. I'd walk into the kitchen and my brain would say, "There's no sugar in the jar." I'd lie down on my bed and my brain would say, "I'm feeling sleepy." I'd hear a fight outside and my brain would say, "Someone is shouting loudly." This wasn't practice anymore. This was my real-time brain thinking in English like it was my first language. Step 3. Use real life as English practice. Now that my brain had started speaking English to itself, I began using everything around me as training material. I didn't need books. I didn't need lessons. I didn't need apps. I just needed to stay present and describe my world. Here's how I did it. And you can do it too. In the bathroom. I'm brushing my teeth. The water is cold. I need a towel. My hair looks funny. In the kitchen, Mom is cooking rice. This smells good. The pan is too hot. The spoon is missing. In front of the mirror, my eyes look tired. I need to sleep early. My English is getting better. Every time I described real things, my brain got stronger. My English brain muscles got trained. You don't need vocabulary. You need awareness. So many learners say, "I can't speak because I don't know enough words." But I say, you can speak right now. You're just not observing your life in English. Your English is already around you. In your kitchen, your bathroom, your room, your clothes, your emotions. Describe everything, even boring things, especially boring things. Because when English becomes your thinking language for small things, it will automatically become your speaking language for big things. Step 4. Start asking yourself questions in English. This was one of my favorite exercises. Instead of letting my brain stay passive, I began asking myself questions, in English, all day long. Like, what will I eat today? Why am I feeling tired? What did I learn today? What will I do tomorrow? And I answered them, in English. I will eat eggs and toast. Because I slept late. I learned 3 new words. I will continue my practice. This felt like I was having a conversation with my brain. It made English feel alive. Not just a subject, but a friend. One day, I was walking alone after dinner. The sky was clear. The wind was soft. I was lost in thought. And then I realized I had been thinking in English for the last 20 minutes. No effort, no translation. Just smooth, natural, unbroken English thoughts. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was worried, but because I was proud. For the first time in my life, I felt like English was mine. Tips. I wish someone had told me earlier. Your brain is your best classroom. If your thoughts are in English, your words will follow. Stop chasing hard words. Master the simple ones. And use them often. Make mistakes silently in your mind, so you can speak boldly in real life. Practice doesn't have to be loud. It has to be consistent. Narrate your life. Be your own documentary voice. Make your brain the storyteller of your day. That was the day I stopped being just a learner and became a trainer of my own brain. I no longer waited for someone to teach me. I created a world inside my head where English was the language of my life. And once my brain became fluent, my mouth had no choice but to follow. Part 4. Fluency Gym, my silent daily routine. After I trained my brain to think in English, something inside me changed forever. My thoughts had switched languages. My brain had finally stopped translating. And now, for the first time in my life, I felt ready to build fluency. But I knew one thing very clearly. Thinking in English is the beginning of fluency. Speaking fluently is the result of daily training. And that's when I realized, if I wanted real fluency, I needed to train like an athlete. I didn't want to learn English. I wanted to build English muscles. So I created something for myself, something no one taught me, something I call my Fluency Gym. Just like people go to the gym to build muscles, I decided to create a Fluency Gym, a system that would train my brain to think faster in English, mouth to speak clearly, ears to understand quickly, heart to stay confident, and discipline to never stop. But here's the most surprising part. I didn't need a building. I didn't need money. I didn't need an app or teacher. All I needed was my mind, my voice, my mirror, my cheap phone, my broken earphones, and my time. That was enough. So let me now give you my full daily routine. Every step, every moment, every detail. This is the exact system that made me fluent without a single coaching class. My Fluency Gym, full day breakdown, morning session, mouth plus brain warm-up, 15 minutes. I used to wake up early, not because I loved mornings, but because I wanted to practice before the world could judge me. Step 1. Mirror sentences, 5 minutes. I stood in front of the mirror and spoke to myself like I was introducing myself to the world. Good morning. My name is Liam. I speak English now. I am practicing every day. I believe in myself. Sometimes I said it softly, sometimes loudly, sometimes slowly, but always clearly. Why? because I wanted my mouth to wake up in English, just like stretching your arms in the morning. This was stretching my fluency muscles. Step 2. Thought narration, 5 minutes. Then I looked around and said whatever came to my mind in English. The sun is rising. The air feels cold. My eyes are tired, but I am ready to practice. I didn't worry about mistakes. I focused on flow. Even if my sentence was wrong, I kept going. Because stopping kills momentum. Speaking builds fluency. Step 3. Voice notes practice, 5 minutes. I opened WhatsApp and recorded a voice note to myself. Yes, to myself. I created a private group with only me inside. And every morning, I recorded 1-minute voice notes. Today, I will study hard. I will try to speak more. I will repeat 5 sentences 10 times each. I saved all of them. Later, I would listen and observe my own voice. This was like listening to game footage. I learned where I was slow, where I was confused, and where I sounded confident. Midday session. Step 1. Repetition training, 10 minutes. This was simple, but powerful. I picked one useful sentence and said it 50 times. For example, "Can you please help me? What do you want to eat today? I think I need more time. Let's go for a walk. This place is very beautiful." Each sentence was said with emotion, expression, volume changes, speed changes, sometimes slow, sometimes fast, sometimes whisper, sometimes full volume. Why? Because I wanted to train my mouth and brain to say these sentences automatically in real life, like reflex. Step 2. Active listening, 10 minutes. I opened YouTube and searched slow English conversations with subtitles. I picked one video, played 5 seconds, paused, repeated the sentence, copied the voice, not just the words. Example: "Would you like some coffee? Would you like some coffee? Yes, that would be nice. Yes, that would be nice." Repeat. Again. 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 I didn't just want to understand English. I wanted to copy the rhythm, the flow, the tone, like a shadow. This method is called shadowing, and it works like magic. Evening session. English in action, 30 to 60 minutes. This was my silent fluency zone. I didn't speak out loud, but my brain was completely in English mode. I used to go for a short walk and describe everything silently in my head. There's a man sitting on the bench. I see 3 birds flying above the temple. That child is crying loudly. The sky looks beautiful today. I am walking faster than usual. Even emotions were described. I'm feeling nervous about tomorrow. I feel proud of my progress. I think I'm becoming more confident. This was when my thinking fluency became natural. There was no one to impress, no one to judge, just me and my English mind. Night session, reflection plus bedtime English, 15 minutes. Step 1. Daily reflection. I sat alone and spoke quietly to myself. Today, I did well. I repeated 3 new sentences. I learned 5 new words. I forgot 1 sentence during practice. I will do better tomorrow. This gave me self-awareness. It made me conscious of my growth. Step 2. Bedtime affirmation. Before sleeping, I whispered, "I will speak better tomorrow." I am becoming fluent slowly. English is not difficult. I just need time. These small sentences told my subconscious brain, this is serious. This is real. This is not a hobby. This is your new life. And then I slept peacefully, knowing I did my best. What happened after 30 days of this routine? Everything changed. My speaking speed increased. I didn't pause or translate anymore. My pronunciation improved because I copied native voices every day. My confidence exploded because I had practiced every single day. No excuses. My family noticed the change. They saw me speaking to myself, listening to videos, recording voice notes. One day, my cousin said, "Bro, you sound different now. Are you taking some online classes?" I smiled and said, "No." I created my own Fluency gym that month. I didn't go to any English class. I didn't buy any grammar book. I didn't ask anyone to help me. I just followed my system, my mirror, my thoughts, my practice, my Fluency gym. And that became the foundation of my speaking power. But still, there was something I hadn't done yet. I could speak alone. I could think in English. I could repeat, shadow, and describe. But I hadn't yet spoken to real people in English. I hadn't faced the real world. And that was about to change, in the most powerful way. Part 5. People started asking me, "How did you learn?" After a few months of using my Fluency gym every single day, something strange started happening. My English was no longer just a private habit. It started showing up in real life, without me even trying. One evening, my cousin was watching an English video on his phone. He didn't understand something and asked me, "Hey, what does that sentence mean?" I listened, and without thinking, I said, "It means he doesn't want to go there." He's afraid. My cousin looked at me and smiled. "Oh, Mr. English now, huh?" I laughed. But inside, I felt something I had never felt before. Proof. Not from a test, not from a teacher, from life itself. After that day, I started noticing little things. When I watched English YouTube videos, I didn't need subtitles. When I read a comment, my brain didn't stop to translate. When I spoke to myself, the sentences came naturally. When I listened to music, I understood more words than ever before. But more than that, other people started noticing it too. At the dinner table, I would sometimes say a few English words while talking. At first, my parents thought I was showing off. But one day, my father asked me, "How did you improve so much? Did someone help you?" I smiled and said, "No, I helped myself." He didn't say much. But that evening, he told my mother, "Our boy is serious. He might actually go far." That was the first time I heard belief in his voice, not just in my future, but in my effort. Until now, I had spoken to mirrors, voice notes, and to myself. But I hadn't spoken to a real stranger in English. One day I saw a post on Instagram. A girl from Brazil was looking for English-speaking partners. She said, "I want to improve my English. Let's practice by chatting." I hesitated. What if I mess up? What if she thinks I'm stupid? What if I freeze? But then I remembered my promise. I didn't build Fluency to hide. I built it to connect. So I messaged her, "Hey, I'd love to practice. I'm not fluent, but I'm trying." She replied in 2 minutes. "Perfect. I'm not fluent too. Let's help each other." We started chatting. I typed slowly. She replied patiently. Soon, we switched to voice messages, then voice calls. Our conversations were simple. "What did you do today? How's the weather? Do you like movies? What's your favorite food?" Nothing advanced, but every sentence felt like freedom. It was the first time in my life I spoke English to a real person. And she understood me. Not because I was perfect, but because I was clear. That day, I cried a little, not because I was sad, but because I finally felt heard. After that experience, I asked myself a dangerous question. What if I can use my English to earn something? I didn't expect much. I wasn't dreaming of a big salary. I just wanted to see if this English was valuable. So I created a free profile on a freelance website. I wrote, "Hi, I am Liam. I can help with English typing, transcription, and writing. I'm not a native speaker, but I'm very hardworking." I waited for days. No reply, no message. But I kept checking. I kept improving my profile. Then one day, I got a message. A client from the Philippines said, "I need someone to fix grammar in some short paragraphs. Can you do that?" I was nervous, but I said yes. It took me 2 hours. I sent it with shaking hands. She replied, "This is perfect. You did great. I'll pay you $5 now." $5. It may sound small to some people, but to me, it felt like $5,000. Because that $5 was not just money, it was proof. Proof that my voice had value. Proof that my fluency had power. I went back to the mirror that night, looked at my reflection, and said, "We did it. You spoke. They understood. You got paid." After that first job, everything shifted inside me. I started believing fully that English was not just a subject, it was a skill. And skills change lives. I started applying for more small jobs, voice recordings, writing product descriptions, simple data entry, English audio transcription, speaking with international clients. Each job made me better, bolder, stronger. I made mistakes, yes, but I also made progress. By now, people around me could see the change. I was speaking more confidently, replying to emails in English, writing posts in English, correcting small grammar errors in school projects. My classmates began to whisper, "How did Liam learn English so fast? Did he join some expensive online course? Did he go to some institute in the city?" And one day, a junior walked up to me and asked, "Bro, please tell me honestly, how did you learn to speak like this?" I told him the truth. I created my own system. I practiced alone, every single day. I didn't focus on grammar. I focused on connection. He looked confused, so I broke it down for him. I trained my brain to think in English. I trained my mouth to speak daily. I trained my heart to ignore fear. That's how I did it. He said, "That's crazy. I thought you had a teacher," I replied. I did. The mirror was my teacher. Mistakes were my books. Discipline was my classroom. And my voice was the only student. Fluency is not when you speak fast. Fluency is when you don't stop. One day, I had a 30-minute English voice call with a client from Canada. I explained everything clearly. He understood. He paid. After the call, he said, "You're very fluent. You sound confident. Where are you from?" And I replied, "From a place where people never believed I could speak like this." He laughed, but I was serious. That's when I finally believed in myself. Not because of a certificate, not because of compliments, but because I had used my English in the real world to connect, to help, to earn, and to grow. Part 6. From Silence to Salary. English changed my life. After I earned my first $5 using English, I couldn't sleep that night, not because I was excited about money, but because I had finally found something real. For years, I felt small when someone spoke English. I felt embarrassed, useless, stupid. But that night, for the first time in my life, I felt valuable. You see, $5 is not a lot of money, but to me, it was $1,000,000 lesson. It taught me that my practice was not a waste. It taught me that my broken sentences had become useful. It taught me that I didn't need perfect English. I just needed courage. And from that night on, I made a new decision. I will build my future with English, no matter how long it takes, no matter how many people laugh, no matter how hard it gets. Because now I had proof. And once you get proof, you never forget who you are again. I started applying for more jobs on freelancing platforms. Writing, transcription, product descriptions, proofreading, audio recordings. At first, I failed. Some clients didn't reply. Some rejected me because I wasn't from a native country. But I didn't stop. I wrote proposals every day, and every proposal was written in the best English I could speak. One day, I saw a job post, looking for someone who can listen to podcasts and write summaries in English. I applied. I didn't say, "I'm fluent." I didn't say, "I'm the best." I just said, "I've been practicing English for months. I'm not perfect, but I'm consistent. If you give me one chance, I'll give you 100% effort." 2 hours later, he replied, "Let's do a test. I'll pay you $10 for one podcast." I worked for 3 hours, listened to the episode again and again, typed everything slowly, checked it 5 times, sent it. He replied in one line, "This is amazing. I'll hire you full-time." And just like that, I got my first $250 per month job. I still remember the first meeting. It was a video call with the client. I was sweating. I wore my best shirt. I had no fancy mic, no office setup. Just me, a small notebook, and a quiet room. He joined the call. I said, "Hello, sir. Thank you for this opportunity. I've prepared notes." He smiled and said, "Wow, you sound confident." But deep inside, I was shaking. Still, I spoke, sentence by sentence. Slow, clear, honest, no fake accent, no hard words, just real English. That day, I spoke in English for 23 minutes, and I got paid more than my father earns in 3 days of physical labor. After the call ended, I looked at myself at the mirror. The same mirror I started with months ago. And I said, "We did it." A few weeks later, I was in the market. I met an old school friend who used to laugh at my English. He said, "I saw your LinkedIn. Bro, are you really working with people from Canada?" I smiled. He continued, "How? You used to get stuck at hello." I told him the truth. I practiced every day when you were scrolling reels. I talked to a mirror when you were busy talking to others. I spoke to myself until my brain had no choice but to listen. That's how he didn't say anything after that. Because he knew. One night I was walking alone. The wind was cool. The streets were quiet. And I realized something that brought tears to my eyes. I didn't just learn English. I learned discipline. I learned self-belief. I learned how to change my life, sentence by sentence. Because fluency is not about grammar. It's about daily courage. Today, I work full-time from home. I earn more than anyone in my family ever did. I talk to international clients every day. I send professional emails in English. I have video calls in English. I write scripts, articles, and business content in English. And guess what? I never went to an English school. I never paid for a course. I never had a private tutor. All I had was my mirror, my mouth, my phone, my will to never give up. Before English, I used to avoid people. Now I lead meetings. Before English, I felt ashamed to speak. Now I speak to strangers across the world. Before English, I was scared to say my name. Now I teach others how to introduce themselves. Before English, I had dreams. Now I have a plan. If you're watching this and struggling with English, let me tell you the truth. You don't need perfect grammar. You don't need to memorize big words. You don't need to sound like a native speaker. What you need is 15 minutes of mirror talk, 5 minutes of voice repetition, a brain that thinks in English, a heart that keeps going, even when no one believes in you. Because that's how I did it. And no, I'm not special. I'm not from a rich family. I never lived in a big city. I never had expensive courses or fast Wi-Fi. What I had was fire. Fire to change my life. Fire to speak without fear. Fire to prove to myself that I am not less than anyone. English is not just a language, it's a weapon. And if you sharpen it every day, it will cut through poverty. It will destroy self-doubt. It will break the chains that hold you back. But only if you're willing to suffer, to practice, to feel uncomfortable, to sound wrong, to fail, and still speak. Because that's how I became fluent. That's how I changed my story. And that's how you can too. I will not give up. I will speak, even if I make mistakes. I will train my brain. I will practice daily. I will change my life with English, because I deserve it. Today, I earn over $5,000 per month, all because I speak English, from my room, with my phone, with my voice. And if I can do it, you have no excuse. This is not just a story. This is your blueprint. This is what's possible. Now it's your turn. If this story inspired you, don't just like it, live it. And if you want more life-changing stories that improve your English and your future, subscribe now, because your voice matters.